Compared to the more modern, westernized, and big cities in China, people from small Chinese cities had a stronger reaction to American students because they had a greater interest in learning about the culture and lives of Western foreigners. For many years, China has assumed the top position of being the nation with the highest population in the world. In fact, as of 2012, China's population has been estimated to be more than 1.3 billion, accounting for nearly 20% of the world's entire population. However, despite China's impressively large populace, it has still remained a country with extremely high levels of homogeneity. According to the Chinese census collected in 2011, the number of foreigners living in China was a little more than 594,000, excluding the foreigners in Hong Kong and Taiwan. Although the number of foreign expatriates in China have increased since 2011, the population of non-natives still account for an overwhelmingly small proportion of China's populace, less than 0.5%. However, despite China's low foreign residence numbers, the amount of foreign tourists who flock to China each year has remained extremely high. In 2011 alone, the number of international tourists traveling to China was more than 57 million, and since then, the number has been steadily increasing. Yet, the distribution of these tourists among the different areas of China have not been even because people tend to visit the bigger, more known and modern cities, such as Hong Kong, Beijing, Xi'an, and Shanghai, allowing these cities to be familiar with foreigners.
Of all the cities associated with China, Hong Kong most definitely tops the list as one of the most popular and modern. Its huge, modern skyscrapers and high levels of British influence have awarded it the nickname of the Oriental London. Up until 1997, when there was a transfer of sovereignty, Hong Kong had been a British colony for 156 years. The long period of time under British control has caused Hong Kong to be one of the most westernized cities in China. Also, Hong Kong over the years has developed into an important economic and financial center in not just China, but all of East Asia, which attracts the attention of many foreign business people. However, besides economic opportunities, tourists have traveled to Hong Kong for a variety of reasons, such as educational study abroad, leisure time, and to live. Hong Kong, in fact, has a foreign resident population of more than 600,000, more than mainland China as a whole. Also, in 2011, Hong Kong received a record high of 42 million visitors from around the world, making it one of the most visited cities in the world. Because Hong Kong has a high level of foreigners residing in and visiting the city, the locals tended not to be fazed by the presence of our CGS group. While walking through the streets, it was easy for us to forget we were in China because of the amount of foreigners we saw, advertisements with Western people and words, plus the lack of reaction from the people.
When in Shanghai, which is another big tourist spot, we also experienced very small reactions from the locals. Although we would get occasional stares and some people who wanted to take pictures of us, for the most part, we found ourselves surrounded by people who were not very shocked to see foreigners. The locals seemed to be very relaxed by our presence, which shows that seeing foreigners was not something unusual for them. Once we arrived to our first small city destination, Nanjing, that all changed.
Do different areas in China react differently to foreigners?
Quite different actually. In Shanghai, Beijing, also like Hong Kong and Shenzhen is kind of called the first line city. We will have a lot of foreigners living inside the city, maybe for business, maybe for tourists. So for them, it's quite common to see a foreigner. Maybe they will say hello, but they will think it's quite unusual. But if, for example, in the middle part of China, or in the southwest part of China, not so many foreigners will go there. Yeah, so they will think it's very unusual for them to see you. And so maybe they will just try to do better service or they will think it's very
到了没有？你到了没有？到了啊！找不到找你啊！好了，再来还有一个，哎哎，再来一个，再来一个美女啊！
When in Nanjing, Suzhou, and Zhejiang, all small cities compared to Hong Kong and Shanghai, there was an obvious difference in the appearance of the cities. Many of the modern buildings and Western influences we had seen in the bigger cities were no longer there, and instead replaced by more traditional Chinese living styles. However, the biggest difference we noticed was in the different ways the locals reacted to us. Whereas before we were sometimes able to forget that we were in China, in the smaller cities like Nanjing, the locals made it extremely hard to forget we were in a different country.
Oh crap, yeah. I'm recording this.
1、2、3，开始笑。要那个啊，我再来一个，要不要？
Yeah. Remember, I don't know. Oh, crud. I think I recorded you. I'm recording this. Now you have to be in it. Wait, now they got Jenny. God, they're recording us. Look at all of us. Wait. Alright. There you go. Jen.
Upon arrival in Nanjing, we were greeted by heavy stares as well as looks of shock, amazement, and curiosity. At first, many of us found the stares to be overwhelming, but we realized that we looked different in an area where most people had similar physical features. We also knew that for many of the people we encountered, it was their first time seeing a foreigner in person, which came as a great shock for them, causing them to not know what to do but just stare. However, for those brave and outspoken locals, many came to our group and would ask for pictures. Usually, the locals would be a little shy about asking for pictures. Once one brave individual asked to take a picture, a huge crowd would form and mob our group as they recorded and waited to get a picture what they viewed as the American celebrity. Many times, while taking the pictures, the locals would assume poses that were touchy in order to show that they were friendly. For instance, they would have their arms over our shoulders, took arms with us, etc. Once done with the pictures, they would say thank you and sometimes continue watching until we left. However, for those who did not have the courage to ask for a picture, they would just take many photos from afar, sometimes secretly, while others did it openly.
Why do some Chinese people take pictures with foreigners, and what do they do with the pictures?
Because they feel excited when they saw foreigners, and maybe there are lots of parts of China that aren't have many foreigners, and they always put them.
When it came to young Chinese and old Chinese people, there was also a difference in how we, the foreigners, were approached. The older Chinese would most likely stare and not communicate with us, while the younger Chinese were more likely to try and engage in conversation with us. The younger generation are more exposed to Western cultures and have an interest in different cultures. As a result of this, they would try to get to know members of our CGS group by asking different questions about our lives in America. They seemed very interested in the differences in our cultures and would want to know about a variety of things, such as American money, schools, and more.
Relax. Just relax. How did the Chinese react when they see foreigners?
I think they are quite friendly and they found it very exciting. Also, they want to find out more difference between Chinese and foreign.
One major Western influence that has impacted the lives of younger Chinese people is the English language. In the bigger cities, once people learned that we were American, they would try and speak English to us even if we had spoken to them in Mandarin. Whether or not they were fluent, they still made an effort and wanted to practice what little English they knew. Although many of us made attempts to speak to the locals in their native language, they often prefer to speak to us in English. For those who didn't speak much English, like in the smaller cities, they were very impressed that a foreigner knew Chinese words, and they became excited and would make you feel encouraged to continue speaking. A simple ni hao from our group members would be enough to attract positive attention and impress the Chinese. They were very interested in the fact that a foreigner was interested in their culture, and they were willing to speak to us in their native tongue in order to help us practice.
你们看望你外国人的时候，你们觉得什么？你们很漂亮。
这东莞讲的还不错啊。
你说是非常漂亮的，我上面就讲他。你中文很好。哦，不是。
They seemed to enjoy communicating with us in both English and Chinese, and they wanted to get to know us as much as they could. Some Chinese people in these small cities would even ask some of our group members for their emails or other forms of contact information so they could keep in touch and learn more.
When in China, we noticed that the bigger and more popular a city was with foreigners, the less shocked and curious the locals were when they saw tourists because their lives are influenced by Western culture. They live in big modern cities, and seeing international tourists are a common thing for them. However, in smaller cities, the sight of a foreigner, let alone a large group of diverse American students, is not a daily occurrence. They were extremely shocked to see us, people who look different from them, because they live in areas that are very homogeneous. Therefore, they couldn't help but be curious. They are aware of different cultures outside of China before our arrival, but being able to see foreigners in person was unusual for them, which is why they took our presence as an opportunity to interact with foreigners and learn more about our American culture. The Chinese in the small cities expressed a great deal of fascination when they saw us because they wanted to know more about something foreign to them, and our presence gave them the opportunity.
America? Yes. We're in America. Okay.
That's one